The gentlewoman from Minnesota reserves. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentlelady from Minnesota for yielding me the customary 30 minutes, and I yield myself such time as I may consume. Mr. Speaker, last time we were here, House Republicans rammed through their latest GOP tax scam, a bill that would rip health care away from over 15 million Americans by slashing Medicaid and, let's be honest, likely Medicare. And I'm sorry the gentlelady doesn't think that that's in the interest of the American people, but we on the Democratic side do. We think when you're taking away people's health care in this country, it's a big deal. This bill, this tax scam bill, would literally take food out of the mouths of kids, takes nutritious food from senior citizens and veterans, and for what? To give massive tax breaks to billionaires and to add trillions of dollars to our national debt. Mr. Speaker, their ugly big bill is a disgrace, and it does not serve working people. It serves the GOP's donors. It is a scam, a handout to the rich paid for by nickel and diming moms and dads who are just trying to get by. And even Elon Musk, one of Donald Trump's top advisors, called the Republican bill, quote, a disgusting abomination. Let me repeat that, a disgusting abomination. He said, quote, shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. Now let that sink in. Let that sink in. Elon Musk, the man who spent hundreds of millions of dollars to elect Donald Trump and other Republicans, is now saying members should be ashamed of themselves for voting for this disgusting bill. Remember when Republicans were falling all over themselves, calling Elon a genius? He could do no wrong? I got to be honest, Mr. Speaker, it gives me whiplash. I think I need a neck brace to deal with all this, these contrary quotations coming in. You know, and the icing on the cake, Mr. Speaker, is the number of Republicans who are now publicly claiming buyer's remorse for voting for this bill. This is a tweet from one of our Republican colleagues from Georgia. You're going to love this. She says, quote, full transparency, I did not know about this section on pages 278 to 279 of the OBBB that strips states of the right to make laws or regulate AI for 10 years. I'm adamantly opposed to this, and it is a violation of states' rights, and I would have voted no if I had known this was in there. This needs to be stripped out of the bill, end quote. Mr. Speaker, this takes my breath away. I mean, all my colleague from Georgia needed to do was to read the bill. I mean, I know that's a tough thing to ask members of Congress to do, but read the damn bill. And if she wasn't going to do that, if she was like our president, who doesn't like to read and only gets his information from the TV, she could have tuned in to the Rules Committee meeting where for 20 hours beginning at 1 a.m., we debated not only this bill, but even this policy that she was concerned about. In fact, I offered an amendment to strike the awful AI provisions from this bill. We had a debate on it, and every single one of her Republican colleagues in the Rules Committee, every single one of them voted against it. And get this, according to this article in the New York Times entitled, After Muscling Their Bill Through the House, Some Republicans Have Regrets, our colleague from Georgia wasn't the only Republican who didn't read the bill before voting to pass it. Another one of our conservative colleagues from Nebraska admitted he did not know the bill makes it harder for the courts to hold the Trump administration officials in contempt for defying a court order. And get this, he claims he would have voted against the bill had he known it was in the bill. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And we had another conservative Republican colleague from Pennsylvania tweet, quote, so Elon Musk is right to call out the House leadership. I wish I had a nickel for every time the Freedom Caucus sounded the alarm and nobody listened, only to find out the hard way that we were right all along, end quote. Right all along? I mean, from what he just said, you would have thought that he voted against the bill, or that the entire Freedom Caucus voted against the bill. But he voted for it, and so did the Freedom Caucus. I think every Republican but one voted for the bill. So here's the deal. Republicans are really good about making statements and speeches, but that's about it. But where is their backbone? And if they believe some of this stuff is bad, why didn't they vote against the bill? I mean, one by one, they caved. The budget hawks wanted a bill that wouldn't add to the debt. Well, this bill adds trillions to the debt, and they caved. Moderates who said they wouldn't vote for a bill that slashes Medicaid and threw people off of health care, well, this bill did that, and guess what? They folded. They folded. Now, where I'm from in Massachusetts, that's what we call a cheap date. Republicans from across the ideological spectrum caved and got nothing. And they listened to Donald Trump. They closed their eyes and they just voted for it without reading it, without a CBO analysis. Whatever Trump wants, Trump gets. And Mr. Speaker, quite frankly, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for this institution, and it's embarrassing for our country. It is making a mockery of this House of Representatives. Republicans should be ashamed of themselves. I thought all of us ran for Congress, regardless of party, to try to help people. And what Republicans did a little over a week ago was about not only hurting people, but screwing them over. And that's sad. And then look at today. Some of the bills at one time were bipartisan. I mean, H.R. 2483 reauthorizes funding for programs that help communities fight the opiate crisis, something I support, something I voted for in the past. You know, Mr. Speaker, over 20,000 lives have been lost in my home state of Massachusetts alone to this crisis over the past decade. But in Massachusetts, we actually saw a 33% drop in fatal overdoses for the first time last year, showing that public investments that we all voted for, public investments in treatment and in prevention, are actually starting to make a real difference. And so I am horrified and I am outraged that Trump is actively dismantling our ability to respond to the opiate crisis moving forward. The administration recently sent over more details about Trump's, quote, skinny budget, which proposes very large cuts to health programs that American families rely on. And these include eliminating programs of regional and national significance at the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, otherwise known as SAMHSA, which encompass nearly all programs aimed at substance use and mental health, including the ones in the bill before us today. I mean, it is hard to take Republicans seriously when they are actively dismantling the very programs and the very agencies that this bill is trying to reauthorize. I mean, if they were serious about this crisis, they would stop undermining the solutions. I mean, I guess maybe the rationale for Republicans bringing this bill to the floor is to have some cover as Trump basically undoes all the programs that are authorized under this bill. But what a cynical thing to do. And it's going to cost lives. I mean, this isn't a game we're playing, you know, and this really, at this point, shouldn't be about pleasing the guy in the Oval Office. This should be about serving your constituents, you know, and supporting what is already working and showing some promise. And then Republicans claim the other three bills in this rule support small businesses. But you know what? No surprise, they do the exact opposite. DOGE already shuttered an SB office in my district in Massachusetts, forcing a lot of rural small business owners have to drive hours to get to the office in Boston. Now, under this bill, if Republicans force the closure of the Boston office out of political spite, which they seem to be really good at, it will leave small businesses in Massachusetts with nowhere to turn. But it's not just Massachusetts, it's a whole bunch of other states that will fall under under these cuts. It will also have a disastrous long-term consequences for the rural entrepreneurs and working-class families in my home state who rely on the SBA to navigate federal assistance and recover from economic setbacks, like the increased costs they're facing because of Trump's reckless trade war. I mean, while we're having this debate and Trump's having tantrums day in and day out and tariffs this and tariffs that, you know who's paying the price? Small businesses. You know what's happening in this country? People are beginning to get laid off. And again, silence from the other side. Because let's be clear, Trump's tariff chaos does in fact punish small businesses the most. And unlike the mega donors who bankroll Republican campaigns, small business owners can't hedge against the kind of volatility that we see playing out in the economy right now. And every time Trump throws another tantrum on trade, Republicans are tossing small businesses into a tailspin with no warning, no help, and frankly, no concern. But maybe that's the point. Republicans don't care about new small business entrepreneurs or those people struggling with opiate addiction. If they did, they would uplift successful programs and agencies like SBA or SAMHSA, not gutting them. And unless you're a mega donor or a loyal MAGA mouthpiece, you do not matter to this Republican majority. And what is happening here isn't just irresponsible, Mr. Speaker, it is immoral, and it's a damn disgrace, and I reserve the balance of my time.